society is endangered by racism and some of how invisible racism can be, both my own and trying to search for that and understanding something, being more aware of the oppression of racism and other oppressions, but also of white privilege and what it means to have white privilege in New York now, and what it means to bear the brunt of the oppression of racism as it exists now.
Reminded me of the struggles that African Americans are engaging in today. We've gone from the cotton fields in terms of struggling to the boardrooms in terms of struggling. Although we've made some strides, it seems as if we're always engaged in spiritual as well as professional warfare. And perhaps I would just like to see growth in terms of accepting our level of intelligence, our ability to survive, and that African Americans have contributed greatly to the advancement and to the building of this great nation.
It has enlightened me even more to know that the perseverance that the African American had.
Revisiting the idea of the minstrel show, which the professor in the video talks about solely as being a way of looking down at, making fun of black people, which is certainly the main message there, but I don't think it's the only message there. It's so complicated, this business of mimicking people. Imitation is the severest and also the sincerest form of flattery. And I was fascinated to see the black minstrel performer doing Irish steps. Was he demeaning Irish people? And this means a lot to me because I'm a fiddle player and a lover of old music. And when I play blues or jazz or minstrel music, all of which come out of the black tradition, I don't think I'm making fun of black people. When I play Irish music, I don't think I'm making fun of Irish people.
One thing that I remembered from my childhood that I had pushed away was the experience for 4 years of going to a camp up in Maine, up in Bath, Maine. And the highlight of the boys' camp and the girls' camp was the annual minstrel show that was put on by the boy campers. And I guess we didn't even think of the implications of what was being done. It was just a continuation of a theatrical tradition. And the racism that was such a part of the industry wasn't part of our experience. So much has changed with the world we live in today. Thank God.
Since I am African American and my family, it was very nice. It's nice to figure out more about your heritage, and I will definitely be able to use this in life, and it's just very moving.
I grew up in the South, and he now lives in New York. It just sort of deepens my understanding of how intertwined things are in the U.S. and how complex they are, and how even today, how New York's place in history during this era is reflected in current conditions in the city and in the U.S. as a whole.
I really had no idea how involved New Yorkers were in keeping blacks down, in slowing the effort to free blacks. I always felt a little superior to the South. I thought that the Northerners were less prejudiced. I knew there was some, but I thought they were less. And now I learned that, in fact,
New Yorkers had a lot to feel guilty about.
New York City African Americans, specifically including myself, have come from families that have migrated from the South. So I'm very curious about black families who have existed in New York City since the early 1800s. Who are those people? Where are their descendants? Are they doing better economically than most black people who moved from the South? I'm very curious about that.
There were several times during the exhibit that I thought that we are now moving into some of the same discrimination that was given to blacks at that point with the way we are dealing with the immigrant population.
I think that some of the struggles that continue are based on some folks not wanting to give up the superiority, so African Americans continue to have to struggle in America. America is a nation of immigrants. African Americans are not immigrants. They were brought over. Caribbean Americans, some are immigrants. However, we are unique, and slavery was a unique institution. And African Americans continue to be used as an example of a lot of wrong. And I think that's wrong. And it needs to be corrected. And I'm hoping that this exhibit will be a beginning, but there's a lot more to be done. And there needs to be a total overturn of the public education system and an inclusion of all people's history.
With New York being the financial capital of America and having such great influence in the global economy, being able to recognize the economic impact of slavery and New York's role was very significant for me, and also one that pretty much made me see the facts and the photos to verify my own thoughts about how New York played such a significant role in encouraging slavery as well as being progressive in abolishing slavery.